don't play like this. I don't understand.
No.
This isn't how we play. I'm confused. So we were extremely happy last night in our house.
Yeah, I thought they looked really good.
They did. I know. It was very strange.
Yeah. My buddy texted me. He's like, they're pulling Mueller. I was like, fresh legs, man. You got to have them,
Right.
So
right. I know. It was epic.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, that guy, Mueller, he does not like to come out of a game, man. I saw him one time. They pulled him, and he went to the sideline. And he just started crying, man. He was so frustrated, man. He loves the game, man.
Yeah, I think he's young, he's hungry, right? He wants to prove himself, all of those things. So I definitely think he's got potential. But do you pay attention on Twitter to Scott Sutter?
No.
Who used to play for us? Well,
yeah.
He like really messes with poor Mueller on Twitter. It's actually really funny. He just he'll comment and say things about his tweets, and it's a very funny thing to watch him kind of roasting him all the time. So
really,
yeah, it's entertaining.
Oh, that's too funny, man. That is too funny. So, hey, you off for today, or did you just get lunchtime to do this?
I
little of both.
Yeah, it's sort of a mix of both. I'm actually in the middle of editing a document right now.
Oh.
So figure if I can combine my work projects, then I will be good.
Killer.
Yeah. So bear with me for a minute here.
Yeah, I'm just wondering where everybody else is. Robert, I ate at Cook It.
How'd that go for you?
Good. I mean, I think it's only like $10 a tray, and for a meal. I mean, are you going to get Grand Gourmet? No, but is it a good alternative? Is it fresh? Is it is it good? Yeah, I think for what you pay, you get a good meal.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, the Outpost is moving along pretty well. They're going to be open sooner than later, thanks to an agreement with the state of Florida. So it's probably still a couple months out, but we have them coming along, and the Grain and Berries probably about a month and a half out from opening, mainly because they're kind of building slowly.
Right.
But we do expect that one to be open about a month and a half over at 400 North.
Good. Yeah, but I mean, I'd go back to Cook It. I try to support them and the chocolate, especially the chocolate factory. I'm a big supporter of those guys.
Yeah, I noticed that they got a new trailer that they have parked out front so they could go mobile with their business, try to expand things a little bit. So it's good for the chocolate factory to try to expand business.
Good. Brilliant, man. Brilliant. Oh, let me get a cup of water.
Motion detected at your front door.
Stacy, good morning.
Good morning.
Randall, I don't think we've met. I'm Vance.
Actually, we have. We met at the Exotic Realms opening.
Oh, okay. Yes. Now I remember. How are you been in these days?
Pretty good. Yeah, we're doing all right down there.
Good.
A reminder email, Michael.
Brian Stewart. He asked me, oops. Okay, so we're still waiting on the mayor, Michael Wild.
Sharon, is Mike Thomas not joining us?
I believe he's going to phone in, so
Okay.
we may not see his face, but
We will feel his presence nonetheless.
yeah. There's Mark.
Robert, are we still waiting for Dale and Mike and Mike?
That's correct.
Okay.
There's a calendar, and then you click on the calendar.
Hey, Maria, just so you know, we can hear you. I didn't know if you wanted to be muted or not.
Oh, I apologize.
Here's Michael Wild.
Okay.
So we're just waiting on Dale.
Hey, it's Brian Stewart. What up, Brian?
Let me unmute myself here.
How you been, man?
Not too bad. I've been told that Zoom is somewhat distracting, and I suspect everyone on this call has been using Zoom a lot more than I have. Is that true?
That it's distracting?
In that, you know, there's going to be eventually a Brady Bunch of us in a grid here, and we're all going to have our eyes scattered all over the place as we keep looking at each other.
Yeah. The more people you get, the more difficult I think it is to pay attention.
Well, I mean, for this one, will mostly be screen sharing. So you're just going to get the little column of people on the side.
Yeah.
Rather than if it were a true conference call, where then, yes, you could get 25 people, 5x5 grid.
I can't imagine how a New York City Council meeting goes with Zoom.
We're doing our church services by Zoom. So we got, 86 people all logged in at one time, and you can still only see 25 at a time. You just have to scroll left and right to see everybody.
Wow. So you said Mike Wild's on here?
Yeah, he was. He dropped for a moment.
Okay. So we're waiting for Thomas, the mayor. They all having problems or something. Connecting.
Yeah, one of them is connecting momentarily. Maria was helping.
Brian, I finally finished that book on the Battle of Sheriff Murr.
Dreadful affair.
That's funny at the end, man. Kind of both sides have boasted that they won. Even though the Union, the Union would really won, right?
Yeah.
So, but it was a good book, man. It's just interesting to see all the old English, how it reads.
As our language, yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, Sharon. I'm on and missed I kept getting bumped off of Zoom.
Yeah, I'm thinking that's probably what's happening with Dale and Thomas also.
I keep getting bumped off. Like, it keeps shutting me down. Every time I log back in, it shuts me off.
Are you on your city iPad, Mike?
No, I'm on my phone.
You're on your phone.
Okay, we're just waiting for Dale. He's having some difficulties with the link.
Hey, so I was telling Robert, I ate at that Cook It that just opened up. Everybody, it was pretty good. So if you want to try something different, they have a lot of different varieties of food. Some dishes I've never heard of. So it was cheap. I think it was $10, per little plate that they do, and you can either have it where it's prepared for you, and you just take it home up, or you can do a kit and take it home and cook it. But it was good. It was really good.
All right, I'm here, guys. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
All right. We ready? Sharon?
Yes.
Yes, whenever you're ready. Whenever you're ready.
Okay. All right, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome to the City of Maitland City Council Workshop for July 21st. The workshop is now been called to order. So please note that this workshop is being held through video and audio conferencing technology. The city clerk will you please take a roll call of attendance to be sure all are present, to ensure all council members can hear and be heard.
Thank you. Councilman Paul Harrison?
Here.
Councilman Thomas? Okay. Councilman Wild?
Here.
Guthrie?
Here.
Mayor McDonald?
Here. Okay, now in addition to the city council, we have city manager Sharon Anselmo and assistant city manager Mark Ragantine here with us. Ms. Sharon, you want to lead us off?
Just to make everyone aware, if they're watching or listening to the workshop, the governor has extended Executive Order 2069, waiving the in-person requirements for a quorum. So a council member does not need to be physically present as long as sunshine law requirements can be met. And the workshop is being recorded. Thank you, Mayor.
All righty. Let's see. Sharon, do you want to lead into the A&H, folks?
Sure. Yeah. So we're going to start with art and history, and I'm going to try to let Danielle take over the screen. So
if you can screen share with Randall, he has the presentation ready. Yeah, thank you.
Perfect.
There we go.
Okay, great. Well, thank you all so much. We'd like to begin by thanking the City Council and staff for your continued support. We're happy that we have such a great relationship with the city, and city administration and public works in particular have been amazing in responding to some of our quirky historical building issues. So thank you so much.
Quirky.
Both Randall and I will be giving this presentation, and Randall, if you want to advance to the next slide, we'll explain a little bit about why we're both presenting. Randall and I were both offered the positions of co-executive director of the A&H effective last Wednesday. The official press announcement is going to go out this week, but we did want to go ahead and informally announce it to the city today during this meeting. We're really excited to be moving forward with this collaborative leadership model. I'm going to remain the primary point of contact for city matters, but all of our major decisions will be made between Randall, myself, and our board of directors. Because of the time limitations for today's presentation, we won't go into the details of the backgrounds of the leadership model, but definitely reach out to us afterwards with any questions, and then keep an eye out for that official press release as well. The A&H, we operate 4 museums on 2 campuses. We have the Maitland Art Center, which was founded in 1937 by Jules Andre Smith, and the Maitland Art Center does have the National Historic Landmark designation, which is the highest historical designation that a property can have. This is a title shared by sites such as the Hemingway House in Key West, Lexington Battle Green, and the USS Constitution. So we're very proud to have that title and to be caring for such a significant property. We also operate the Maitland Historical Museum, which opened in 1977, the Telephone Museum, which opened in 1981, and it was renovated last year. Randall oversaw that project. Has a lot of interactive features right now. So if you haven't had a chance to come by, definitely schedule a tour with Randall to come see it. And then we also operate the Waterhouse Residence Museum and Carpentry Shop, which is on the State Historical Register. Our mission is to foster an appreciation for art and history through immersive experiences that celebrate Maitland's diverse cultural heritage and preserves the community's legacy embodied in Jules Andre Smith's research studio, our National Historic Landmark. And our objectives are to inspire community engagement, ignite community imagination, preserve community heritage, and to sustain our mission.
Some of the highlights from last year were the exhibitions Florida Oranges in Art and History. And on the left at the bottom, you can see the art exhibition. This featured hyper-realistic works by Ohio painter Dennis Watkowitz. And then on the right-hand side in the Maitland History Gallery was the Florida Oranges, the story of citrus in Central Florida from the early days to the present. And we were really thrilled to have the Heller Brothers sponsor that exhibition. Our current exhibition is The Exotic Realms of Jules Andre Smith. This exhibition looks at the architectural ornamentation of the art center itself and why Andre decided to design it in this way, this kind of Mayan fantasy architecture. It looks at the two-dimensional works and sculpture that he was doing at the same time and around that time as the design of the art center. We were, because of our TDT grant for marketing, we were able to actually rent a billboard on I-4 to advertise the exhibition. And this was located on Kennedy Avenue, right in Edenville, right off of I-4.
Randall, that was a really good looking picture, that bottom right one.
Yeah, wasn't it? I thought you'd like that one. And then in the history exhibit is Building Maitland, and that looks at the architecture of Maitland from the 1880s through today. And this Maitland series is something that's going to be going on, and you'll see the next part of that coming up. In connection with these exhibitions, we had a number of different artist talks. At the opening of the exhibition, Dennis Watkowitz gave a great, very well attended artist talk about his work, both the citrus work and his florals. And Maitland artist Richard Munster, who is a sculptor and ceramic artist, did a great artist talk and gallery tour of his work. We also had a gallery tour with the artist Ju Wu. She's an art professor from Tampa who talked about some of her pieces. And then one of our artists in residence, Wade Shamming, right before the shutdown occurred, he was here on campus for the first 2 weeks of his residency and had a great artist talk with him as well. This year we have 6 artists in action. And art school last summer, the fall and the winter sessions were very well attended. We were getting record attendance. At the end of last summer, we had a pop-up exhibition of the student work and also the instructors. And last year, we also started our Youth Artist Summer Workshops. This was a great chance for a lot of the residents of Maitland to bring their kids for just a couple of hours and really focus on some art projects, whether it be a creative exploration or a natural nature documenting or ceramics. We found that just focusing on the art itself, which is what our mission is, created a niche for a lot of parents that didn't necessarily want to take their kids to an all-day camp, but this gave them a chance to have somewhere for the kids to spend a couple of hours a day and then continue on their day with their families. And it was so popular that we actually continued it in the fall with afternoon, after school classes in the fall. Then of course this spring, COVID-19. So we've responded to that by increasing our policies, our COVID-19 policies in the galleries. We have an acrylic barrier and face masks and hand sanitizers that are available in the galleries. All of the visitors to our campus are required to wear a mask in the galleries and around the campus. And even in the art classes, we ask that they please wear a mask, and we have social distancing as part of the class. Because of our limited sizes of our class spaces and the number of students, we were able to continue the art classes because it is such a small number of people. And the students do feel comfortable coming to the art classes. During the couple of months when we were shut down, we quickly pivoted and created virtual art and history. I hope you've had a chance to see some of the offerings that we've put up. We've had a couple of different art tours. I gave an art tour of the Telephone Museum and also the current exhibition of Exotic Realms. We've had some little art classes, the abstract painting demonstration, and mobile and collage making with construction paper. Then we've also checked in with some of our former either artists in residence and artists in action to see how they were doing and what some of the projects they've been working on since their time at A&H. We also offered a couple of different virtual art classes. These proved to be wildly successful. The 5-week, once a week idea and form class, we had over 50 people register for the class. Because of the small class sizes that we have on campus, normally the largest class we can ever have is 9 students. So this gave us an opportunity to have actually 50 students. And one of the surprises was 7 of them were from outside of Florida. So because it's virtual, there's no limit to who can join it. So they got to experience this class and learn more about the A&H. So hopefully the next time they're in town, they'll come and visit us in person.
So our rentals program is about 15% of our total budget, and it does allow us to reach an audience that wouldn't necessarily seek out the center on their own. In fact, for staff, it's become very common that when they meet new people and tell them where they work, the people say, oh, I've been to a wedding there. So we're lucky that we're able to earn revenue and create more visibility for the center with the same activity. Rentals revenue was very strong up until the COVID closures, but then in April and May, our events did have to cancel or postpone their events. Fortunately, many of them did reschedule for FY21. It's uncertain what effect the pandemic will continue to have on them, but the ones that are scheduled for the fall have all reduced their event size to be under 50 people. We're sticking within CDC guidelines for safety, and the ANH and the industry vendors have also been implementing a lot of new safety measures during these events as well. For those of you who haven't been out to the center lately, I encourage you to drive by at dusk and see how beautiful the newly renovated West Garden looks when it is lit. It's absolutely beautiful. The project was made possible through a matching grant through Orange County, and then our board member, Bill Randolph, and his wife, Joan Randolph, did the landscape design. It's absolutely stunning. The renovated space has 3 primary benefits. One is that the hedge barriers add natural security to the area, but are going to be kept low enough that it won't be a hiding place, so it should help preserve that entire area. The newly poured concrete patio offers additional space for events, both for rentals and then our internal programming. And then you'll see in the upper right-hand corner, that art piece has just been kind of underrepresented this entire time, and it's really one of our most stunning pieces. So now it's become a proper focal point on Central Avenue. Another exciting feature about the West Garden is that we installed 2 Florida native plant gardens to provide food for birds and pollinators. The Florida Wildflower Foundation awarded ANH with a $500 grant to help with the planting. We're going to be developing educational materials so that the public can take self-guided tours of the gardens. They'll have plant identification, some fun facts about the native plants. This is very exciting because we haven't tackled any ecological projects before, and we feel that this is a great new avenue for us to benefit the neighborhood. And then we also feel that it honors Andre Smith, who was a great lover of Florida's natural landscape. We also made some excellent strides with long-term preservation of the site over the last year. Last summer, we had an intern from ICOMOS, which is the International Council on Monuments and Sites. Julita Oliveira is a preservation architect who came from Brazil. She stayed with us for 6 weeks and conducted a site-wide assessment of all of our architectural ornamentation and the artwork associated with the structures. After she finished her residency, she presented her findings to Washington, DC. So you can see an example in the upper right-hand corner, and then the map is the sort of work that she did. We have a full catalog of all of the artwork now. And then the city funded a full site survey and 3D scan, and we had the opportunity to view the data a couple of weeks ago, and the scope of the project is just incredible. The implications for the long-term preservation of the site are also very significant. One low light from the last year, and this is one of the reasons why we're really grateful that we did have those 2 preservation projects completed, is that on June 13th, we did have a driver back into our main garden gate, which was unfortunately one of our key architectural features. We're working closely with the city's insurance to obtain a restoration proposal from a conservator. It's expected to be in this week. Much of the artwork is fortunately intact, but for the pieces that landed face down, we won't know the extent of the damage until we actually have the conservators come in and lift the pieces. This also has had an impact on our ability to hold receptions in the main garden, as we don't have a way to get large furniture and dance floors in there at the moment. So right now we're still assessing what that impact will be on our rentals revenue.
Just to preview the exhibitions that'll be coming up next year. This first one is called Growing Up Maitland, and that will be in the Maitland History Gallery. And one of the things we did was try to engage the community and put out a call for photographs. So invited everyone in the community to submit a couple of their photographs, either of them and their family from today, or historic photos that they might have in their family's collection. So with this project, we hope to increase our database of history of Maitland and also help engage the community in this exhibition. In the fall, we'll be having our Artists in Action exhibition. And this will be a great opportunity for us to really see what these artists have been working on for the last year in their studios that they've been given. Because they were not able to go and use their studios for a couple of months, we decided, and the amazing work that they've all been creating, we decided to go ahead and extend them through next year as well. So we'll be having the same group of Artists in Action for 2021. Then next summer, I'm continuing this idea of every summer learning more about Jules Andre Smith, the founder of the Art Center. This year, we're looking at the exotic realms and some of his different styles of work. Next summer, we're going to look more at his etchings and watercolors in an exhibition called On Seeing Segovia. And in 1921, Andre traveled from France by train to the city of Segovia, Spain. And he spent a couple of months there in the spring, really for the first time getting to know the city. And he created a number of etchings and watercolors, but he also wrote a short story about his experience there. So during his trip, he went with another etcher called Ernest Roth, and we're working with Dr. Eric Denker from the National Gallery in Washington, D.C., who's an expert on Mr. Roth. And we'll be having a couple of his works in the exhibition as well. And we're working with him to create this book that will be along with the exhibition. And it's one of the first books that we've created really since the opening of the Art Center. Andre created a book about his surrealist work, and now we're turning one of his stories into a book as well. So we're very excited to continue this history of Andre and his publishing.
So some of our goals for FY21, continue to work with the city leadership to fulfill mutual goals and objectives, including the restoration of the National Historic Landmark, and develop and implement an infrastructure master plan for the preservation of the historical structures and maintenance of the facilities. These are the city's buildings, and much of our art collection also belongs to the city. So as stewards of these buildings and these artworks, we are committed to being excellent caretakers and ensuring that the buildings, artifacts, and artwork are preserved for future Maitland residents. We are also working to expand the volunteer program. There are a lot of physical and psychological health benefits of volunteerism. It's been shown to build stronger communities. So we feel that this doesn't just benefit the A&H, but Maitland as a whole. And we're currently, we have an open administrative position that we're redesigning to focus more on fostering more volunteerism at the center. We will be focusing on expanding and diversifying revenue sources with an emphasis on earned income, individual giving, and corporate support. Since we don't fully know, how the COVID situation is going to go, this is going to be very important for us. One of the things we have done is we hired a full-time grants manager last fall, and we have seen positive results from investing fully in that position. The position should also be instrumental in applying for grants to help supplement city costs for the long-term stabilization and restoration of the site as well. And then we're also hoping to continue to expand opportunities for Maitland residents, such as continuing to host youth and adult art and history programming, whether that's in person or virtual, in kind of our changing situation, as well as interactive exhibitions and focusing on the artists who have come through the community and making sure that we're visiting back with them and continuing to share their stories. So for FY21, we're requesting $306,000, which is 31% of the total operating budget. This achieves the FY21 lease requirement, that funding be below 45% of total operating budget, as well as next year's requirement that it drop below 35%. Some notes on funding for the upcoming year. We had mentioned some of the impact that the main garden gate may have on rentals income. So we're still determining what that may look like for the upcoming year. Over time, we have seen a decline in the state general operating support. It was at a high of $95,000 in 2015, and it was down to about $6,000 in FY19. So it's back up to 28, which is great. We're seeing it slowly increase. And then just in general, we don't entirely know what the impact that COVID-19 will have on the center. We believe grants revenue will remain relatively steady. The Florida state amount is confirmed, and we've been told that we should see similar funding in other areas. But for individual and corporate giving, that's where we're still assessing the situation.
So we want to thank you for this opportunity today to meet with all of you and present this. And we look forward to working with you and continuing the legacy of the Art Center and the Maitland Historical Museum. And now, if you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I'll let you go first, Mayor. Sure, you have a lot.
Well, no, I'll go with a lollipop question that, Danielle, that I know we've talked in the past about opening up or granting free memberships to, residents of the city. Has that been something that y'all have considered?
It is something that we've brought up to our development committee, and they are talking about it.
I would hope that that's a positive, that could have a positive impact on both attendance and participation and volunteerism for that matter. Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Danielle. Go ahead, Vance.
Danielle, I see that y'all have a lot of goals and, like to increase your public awareness, to develop outreach programs, to enhance financial stability by bolstering diverse revenue sources. What is your, and I know you want to do these, but what's your action plan to make them, to go ahead with them?
The revenue diversification or the outreach?
Right. Let's start with, your public awareness by, your outreach.
Oh, great. Yeah, that's something we're working actively on. One of our board members, Lisa Junkerman, helped us conduct a marketing survey a couple of months ago. So we're actually meeting this evening to synthesize the results of it and develop a comprehensive one-year marketing plan that's really targeting our audiences in the way that they want to be communicated with. Additionally, you saw the billboard. We're looking at finding other ways to raise awareness about the center too that are a little more visible, focusing on areas that are outside of the art center. Another shared goal of mine and Randall is to raise awareness about Andre Smith on a national level. His story is incredibly fascinating, but so much of it is locked in the art center. So through the productions of books about Andre Smith, we're hoping that we can sell him on a national level and share his story. Seeing Segovia will be the first big step in that, but we're also working with a volunteer right now to see if we can get grant funding for a biography of Andre Smith to be published.
That would be cool.
And y'all be selling those in your gift shop or online or what?
Hopefully both.
Yeah.
Both.
Yeah.
So I know a few years ago, y'all were doing a membership drive, and when I was there this winter, what was it, February? That, Randall and I think a few others that were discussing about handing out memberships to all the citizens of Maitland. And I just wanted to say, I think that's a great idea. I think that, if you send them all out, it might be people scratching their heads saying, hey, this is a good time to get down there. Let's go and see what it's all about. So, you might not only have those people, but you might have some more people want to volunteer or bring something to the arts and history.
Besides, it would be a great cheap date night.
Right. Yeah, we've really been trying to focus on our openings. For Growing Up Maitland, we had hoped to be able to have like a big outdoor picnic and invite all the, everyone from Maitland to kind of come to an old-fashioned picnic in the garden. Unfortunately, that will have to be on hold for a while. Hopefully, maybe later in the fall, we'll be able to still do something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe even have some kind of reunion with the 2005 Little League team, since that's a part of Growing Up Maitland.
There you go.
Something to do.
There you go.
Just a lot of different things around our openings. We've been sending out a lot more postcards to especially the neighborhood to try to get people to remember that we're here and come back. Digital advertising is great and social media is wonderful, but not everybody's on every platform. So
yeah.
we've really started to find through this marketing survey that some of the more traditional ways sometimes can get a wider group of people. So postcards and the billboard are a couple of those things that we're trying out in addition to our social media. One of our big we're talking about a couple of different big fundraisers for next year. One of them actually this summer we're starting, and maybe some of you have seen it either through emails or social media, and that's our small art auction. This is the first time we're doing this, and it's a completely online auction. So since we can't really have people come here, we're doing it virtually, And the response from the artists has been tremendous. We have more than 30 works that are going to be auctioned off. They're all small, so they're easily mailable if people aren't here to be able to pick them up. And already have more than 20 people who've registered to be able to bid, and that's just in the first weekend. So that's another great thing. And then we're hoping by next spring we'll be able to do a really big fundraiser that's called an abstract art party, and it'll be just really wild and fun, and hopefully one of those things that becomes an annual event that people really look forward to and unique to the Art Center.
Yeah, we'll loosen up the ordinances about the wild part. You'll be fine.
Okay. We appreciate that, Mayor.
Anybody else have any questions or comments for Danielle and Randall?
Yeah, I'd like to make some comments, Mr. Mayor, and
yes, ma'am.
A couple of questions as well. I want to thank you both for your presentation. You guys provide such a very important service for our residents, even if they don't know that you're doing it.
Yeah.
Truly, having such a very special gem in the center of our city is something that I think we all collectively on the council know that we need to do a better job of highlighting. And so I think one of the most important steps that you are taking is, as you mentioned, your virtual classes, being able to attract new and outside diverse people to come, not just local residents, being able to get people from other states. I think that's fabulous. Are you re-examining your budget in light of the new virtual programming to improve technology in that space, or?
Yeah, we had really good success with our first online class. In terms of revenue, it earned the same revenue that we would with a class of 8 people, I think is what we had calculated. So we do think that we'll be able to offset a lot of, if we do see some revenue loss from our in-person classes, that we'll be able to offset it with some of our virtual programming.
Okay. Cool.
We also have submitted some technology grants so that we will be able to have better cameras and film equipment. So if we continue to do these distance learning.
Yeah, perfect. I'm just seeing this in my corporate life too, where we're shifting our budgets to adapt our technology, because that seems to be the most pressing concern right now. Is while everything is living in virtual land, we want to make sure that we're delivering the best product with the best technology. So if you're seeing any shifts there, I was just curious if that's money coming from somewhere else, or you're saying grants are going to take care of helping out with that.
Well, we're hoping. We've submitted for them. We've also gotten some funding through United Arts.
Okay.
When this happened, they decided to up their distance learning offerings to the schools and the community. And we were actually the first group that was chosen because we have a great printing, outreach that we already did, and we were able to convert that into distance learning. And so they awarded us a grant to create that as a distance learning opportunity. And then during the just couple of months that we were shut down, we offered a number of different classes to students and their teachers and groups of teachers so they could learn about printing for distance learning. Very
cool. Yeah, I love distance learning. I think the virtual thing, as much as I know, does not shared by many of my council members. I think that virtual is a fabulous thing for us all. It's opening up so many more opportunities to access. So I really appreciate that. I just want to make a couple of comments from your presentation. One, the native plants out front is a phenomenal idea. If we could turn that into some sort of a native plant festival or some way of celebrating native plants, I would love to see that, because I want to put native plants in my garden, and it drives me crazy that I only can drive to Lucas, or I have to go online and find someone who will sell me seeds. I think there should be more options, because people do want to plant native plants. And if we could celebrate that with art, or we could celebrate that with a festival or some way of engaging the community, I would love to see that. And on the Growing Up Maitland, I think that is a phenomenal idea. I love it. I just want to make sure that we are going to be sensitive to diversity and including all of the history of Maitland.
Mm-hmm. absolutely.
Perfect.
I'm working with the Orange County Regional History Center, and we're working on finding out before desegregation what schools that Maitland residents would have gone to, and our relationship with the Eatonville schools. Of course, with the Hungerford School and Academy, we had a great relationship with because the Hungerfords were Maitland residents. So we'll certainly be talking about that. And we may talk about some of the experiences of Zora Neale Hurston also living so close to Maitland and growing up in this area.
Yeah, I recently learned that apparently in order for the city of Winter Park to incorporate, they actually had to allow Black residents to vote in order to be able to get enough votes to incorporate the city. But that is not history that is commonly told in Winter Park. So I think that if we have that history, we should be sharing it and celebrating it.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks,
Danielle, Randall.
Thank you.
All right, do we want to move on to the Maitland Public Library and their presentation?
I would say yes. Anybody else?
Miss Stacy, you ready to go?
I'm ready.
Okay, bye everyone. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Randall.
Thank you. We'll see you soon. Thank you. Miss Sharon, we ready to go?
Yeah, I think Stacy just taking over the screen. Here she goes.
There you go.
All right. So hello, and as you know, I'm Stacy Larson, and I'm the director. With me today is Brian Stewart. He is the president of Maitland Public Library Incorporated. He's actually here primarily because I know that you always have some questions that are really best answered by the corporation and not me. So he is here for that, and of course a little moral support. I imagine my usual crowd is actually watching us all on YouTube right now, but they are not with us today. So today I want to talk about what we're doing now and what we're looking forward to in the coming year. One of the things that we did, okay, little slide, there we go. One of the things that the Board of Trustees did this past year, is we have a new mission statement. If you have sat through this session before, you know that our mission statement for as long as I know has been the Maitland Public Library meets the educational, informational, and cultural needs of the city of Maitland, which is accurate. It's just extremely boring. It's not wrong.
I'm so glad you said that, Stacy. Thank you.
So over the course of several months, members of the board had meetings. They met with friends of the library. They met with staff. They reviewed a whole lot of mission statements of other libraries, other organizations. They did word clouds of things that you associate with the Maitland Public Library. And at the end of that, in December of 2019, they introduced this, our new mission statement. The Maitland Public Library connects the community to a world of opportunities. And it's much broader, but I think it's very effective. It's also very easy to tie mission goals to it as we work forward in the strategic planning process, which is this year's plan. We're due for a new 5-year plan. So I think it's going to be very easy to come up with goals and tie them back directly to this mission. We should have been much deeper in this process by now, but COVID kicked that plan to the curb. So we'll be picking that one up as things become more normal again through the fall. Just for those of you who are not familiar with some of our history, the Maitland Public Library is not, as you know, a city organization. That's because in 1896, the library was founded by residents of the city of Maitland. It was kickstarted with a donation of 360 books by Clara Domerick. She and her husband Lewis have given their names to large parts of the city. They also helped found the Florida Audubon Society. In 1907, the citizens of Maitland, all 418 of them, among them raised $3,000, which is quite a lot of money in 1906 dollars, which was matched by Lewis Domerick, and that built the building in which we currently reside. It's the now the Elizabeth Wood Reading Room, but it is the original library building, always purpose-built to house the library. And we are still in it. That library space was used only 2 days a week for library purposes, and in the rest of the week it did things like host the Quilting Guild. They actually do still meet here, but now they have a space. They don't have to close the library to meet here. Part of the benefit about the new and expanded mission statement is that it covers the fact that libraries, not just the Maitland Public Library, but libraries everywhere do have a new and expanded mission. We are not a warehouse for books. We're not a quiet place where you can come get shushed and look through an old encyclopedia. I have an old encyclopedia if you'd like to look through it, but I won't shush you while you do it, I promise. One of the things that libraries are doing is focusing on my favorite words, experiential learning. We are a resource. People trust the library as a source of information, whether they are getting that information through books and magazines, whether they're getting it online, or they're getting it delivered in person. So people do come to the library specifically to learn. We're just delivering that information in new ways. They also come to look for a job, find their next great read, learn a skill, connect to social services. And what we do is we connect them to what they need to become a functioning part of our community. This year, while our faces are covering a couple things, that's okay. We had some pretty cool accomplishments. One of our new events was the New Year's Eve party. This is a dance party for kids. And amazingly, small children really, really want to dance, but then they get tired of dancing and they go get books, which is perfect. I mean, that's really what we want to see, is all those preschool kids coming in and getting books. It's the quietest dance party I have ever seen through the middle of that party, because they really are going and reading in between. And then they all come back to the meeting room. We have a glitter ball that we drop from the ceiling at high noon and count down. And so we celebrate the new year that way, because we are open on New Year's Eve. In 2019, we had 1,020 new library cards issued. Of that, 779 of them went to residents, either adults or children. The vast majority of the rest are other Orange County residents or Winter Park residents who have reciprocal borrowing. But we have about 20 people who pay for non-resident privileges because they live in Seminole County or Lake County. This year we continued our Astronomy Week programs. The highlight was the Story Dome, which is an inflatable planetarium. It was very, very cool. I came in on a Saturday just so I could hang out in the inflatable planetarium. At the very end of 2018 into the beginning of 2019, we had a partnership with the A&H called Celebrate Maitland, and it was an art display. We solicited artwork from every kind of medium, just highlighting Maitland, and that display was held here at the library on our gallery walls. We introduced some new tween classes. It's a very underserved group here in Maitland. When you think about the library, I know a lot of people think about our very small children coming for story time, and you think maybe about older readers coming for books, but that middle group you don't think about, but they're here. And so we've been looking for ways really to serve them. And the tween classes have been very popular. As you see, we've got tween cooking, we've had public speaking and manners. All told, for all ages, we offered 604 programs. That's 2 a day for every day we were open, and 17,668 people attended those. And those were just the things that we did, not the community users who came in and used our spaces. We also hosted a number of school visits. That flower is a celandine. It is the logo of the Celandine Life Preparatory Academy, which meets over here at the Church of the Good Shepherd. Their upper school comes weekly for library time here, and their lower school comes for regularly scheduled story times throughout the year. We also have Maitland Montessori who comes for regular library days. And we still do a lot of sleepovers. It's a fundraiser that our local public and private schools offer during their various fundraising activities. You can bid and win a night in the library. It's an amazingly simple thing for us to do. We offer no programming. We have no staff. You just get the library for the night and you can sleep on the floor, and yet people pay hundreds of dollars to their schools for this privilege. So we have hosted Orangewood School, the Jewish Academy, Lake Sibelia, and Domrick. I do it every year. And our biggest accomplishment this year has been because we have faced our biggest challenge, and that has been the coronavirus. And I have to tell you, I have been so proud of how my staff has looked for new ways we can serve despite this coronavirus and the challenges of being open and serving the public. You know, we're a touchy-feely kind of place, and this is not a touchy-feely kind of time. But we've really, they've really been on their game trying to meet that. Just other fun things, 144,342 people walked through the door, or people walked through 144,000 times. Some of them were the same. And they took away with them 112,946 items last year. All right, so these are just some of the fun things that we did. As you can see, we had a photo booth with the New Year's Eve party. We had a family craft night doing Valentine's cards. In the upper right corner, that crazy fluorescent green dude is Professor Doodad, and he comes every year for our summer reading program to do some sort of science-related lesson. Last year it was space-themed, so he is dressed as a space person, and he has a child wearing a space helmet. He involves the kids in all of his experiments. We did a field day last year where kids got to do science experiments outside. This was a terrible plan in July, but it was still a lot of fun. It was just very, very hot. Field day should be in February in future. And that big crowd you see, those are people doing crafts during our storybook tea party. As I said, tween cooking has been a hit. We've also had 2 sessions on manners. Each time we have thought it would be mostly the kids who already had really good manners or whose parents were making them come. But kids have been very enthusiastic actually about attending. And we always get at least one kid who is an excellent example of why they need to learn. And they usually do learn something. We did a series on public speaking. Miss Mary, I know, has gone several times to Dominic Elementary School and served as a judge for their public speaking contest. I believe Councilman Thomas does the same. And so to help prepare for that contest, we offered a public speaking series this year. We offered a creative writing club for those tweens. And we have done a class called Crafting with the Classics, and we've offered it for several years. Mary Daniels came up with this class. It's a mix of art history and craft. Kids come in, they learn about a particular artist, and then they do a project based on that artist's style. If you pay attention to what any of our neighbors are doing, you'll know that all of our neighbors have stolen this class and are offering it under their own names in their own ways. But it started here. Mary Daniels came up with it. She presented it at the Florida Library Association. In fact, another county library saw her at FLA doing the presentation about this, and she said, "Oh, we could do that, but we'd do it better." No, ours is fabulous. This year we changed it up a little to make it middle school. So it was a middle school modernist class. They learned about Salvador Dali and other modernists, and they had a lot of fun. We still, of course, offer story time. In coronavirus times, it's a little different, but we're still offering story time. Adventures with Books is our homeschool group. I imagine they're going to see a lot of uptick in the fall as people are newly taking on homeschooling. We're looking into ways to expand Lego Free Build in the coming year, but in the past, we've offered it just once a month. Come in and play with our Legos, build whatever you want. And of course, we like to have fun. So that's why we have our storybook tea party. We have the New Year's Eve party. We had a space ball last year. Kids are not the only ones we serve. As I said, we do have a lot of things with adults. When I came to the library in 2013, it was the adult services librarian. And I spent the first year trying to figure out what people like. I never offered craft classes because I do not craft. I should have offered craft classes because people really like them. We offer knitting and crocheting. As you see, we've got macrame. These 2 ladies in the bottom corner painted glasses that have galaxies in them, and now they can use those. Our cooking demos continue to be very popular. In the center was our Friends of the Library book sale. You might recognize the back of the lady in pink because that is our very own Bev Repinen. And we had speakers from NASA, and Don Kroll brought his Sunspot telescope. In 2019, I managed to finally do the thing I've been promising for years, which was to add bake pans to our collection. We now have 25 of them. Every one of them is a donation. People brought us their weird novelty baking pans. So if you need to bake a cake shaped like a dinosaur, you do not need to buy that Wilton pan. You can just come check it out from the library. I have hearts and Dora the Explorer. I have footballs. I have castles. We've got a great selection. And they are available for anybody to check out. We even have a toolkit of things like spatulas and hot mitts. So if you don't own those things, you can borrow ours. So like I said, we've been doing a lot of crafting. We've offered both knitting and crocheting this year, cooking classes for adults. We've had a number of authors, including Bob Williams, Mike Gunter from Rollins College, Jim Clark from UCF. James Holmes, who is a local TV personality, had a huge crowd here for his new book. We also had the opportunity to screen a film called The Ways of Change, which was part of the International Short Film Festival at Enzian. And then they had the opportunity to show it here. It's actually made by a Maitland resident, Dennis Mormon. We had a space archaeology lecture, which I thought would be archaeology from space, and a little bit of it was archaeology from space. But a lot of it was the archaeology in space, that we've sent up so much junk that they are now in the process of doing archaeological research on what's in orbit around this planet, which I thought was amazing. We've had vision board workshops, grief workshops, not counseling sessions. We don't do that, but kind of talking about it. So we're looking for ways where adults can learn all kinds of new skills here. Yoga and meditation, of course, continue to be popular. They meet weekly, I believe. We participate in our local community. This year, Mari invited us to come along to one of the movies in the park. So when they showed Toy Story 4, my staff went and they helped everybody make a Forky ahead of time. We go to Get Down Downtown we go to Get Down Downtown as often as we can.
Don't we all?
Yeah. We are usually down at the kids' end, and we usually have some sort of fun activity down there. This year, we started a graphic novel book club. It's actually meets at Banff Comics, and our staff goes there, and we encourage people to check out the books and come meet us at the comic shop to discuss them. We went to the Trinity Young Author Festival. This year, a group called Altruza gave us a grant for literacy kits. They are amazing things. I actually have 5 of them still sitting here on my desk. And they are on different topics. So like this one you see is on colors. This one is geared for up to 3 years old, I believe. And it's got board books in there and some activities, some really cool, fun things to help build those literacy skills. And I made a terrible mess, I'm sorry. We also got a grant this year from the Maitland Women's Club for some new youth furniture. Our teen study space was getting pretty old and beaten up, so they gave us some new furniture, including a mommy and me reading bench area. So it's big enough for a parent and a child to read together. It's not comfy enough to snooze on, but it is certainly big enough to hang out with your parent and read. The library is open 24/7, even when the building is closed. You can download books, magazines, and audiobooks straight to any device, including your telephone, your iPad, or your computer. We have the ability to help you learn a language or get research help at any time of day or night. Ask a librarian. You can chat directly with a librarian late into the evening and on weekends. If we are not here, librarians elsewhere in the state are handling those questions, and then we take a turn when we are here. We have a number of databases, including Mango Languages, Biography and Context. You can get magazines through Flipster, and of course, download books and ebooks through Libby, or ebooks, audiobooks through Libby, and recorded books online. So in 2020, it's kind of broken up into before and after. In March, of course, everything changed with the coronavirus. All of a sudden, everything that we focus on about getting people into the building, we had to turn it on its head and focus on how we could serve them without bringing them into the building, because the stay-at-home order meant we were all staying at home. So we suddenly tried very hard to become experts in video editing and virtual programming. By the end of April, we were offering 5 video presentations a week, including 2 different storytime sessions, a cooking demonstration, a book talk, a craft video, and I think that's 5. Over the course of those 6 weeks, we had 6,126 views of those videos on our Facebook page. which shows there was a high demand for video. And that's something we're looking at in the coming months, because 6,000 people, like we would not have had 6,000 people coming in for cooking demos. There's just not room, but what an amazing reach just through our Facebook page. Ebook reading went way up. People who had been resistant before suddenly have been interested in ebooks because you can get them without coming here, without even leaving your house. In April of 2019, we had 875 ebooks were checked out. In April of 2020, we had 1,559. So wow. It was a huge uptick in reading of our online materials. We were the first library to reopen, coincidentally, on May 5th, 2020. That was our 124th birthday. It was not our intent to reopen on our birthday, but you know, it makes good sense. And what's next? Well, we've been working on social distancing. There's presently no seating here in the library. There are sneeze guards on the service desks. We are providing online reader's advisory. You can email your questions through our website and we'll tell you what you should read next. We're preparing book bundles so that teachers and parents can just say, hey, I need 10 books on tigers for my 5-year-old, and we will collect them and have them ready for you to go. One thing we're really focusing on is how we can have more live online programs. In March and April, they were primarily recorded on video and then edited. But what we'd really like to do and what gets good results are things that are live. So we're offering currently our yoga class every Friday afternoon is live. It's recorded, so if you can't do it Friday afternoon, you can still do it, but it is at least that live opportunity to engage through that one's on Facebook Live. We're doing book clubs through Zoom. We are having our Poetry Coffee House night this Friday night at 7 o'clock on Zoom. So we're trying very hard to get back to that social capital part of being the library. All right. So in the coming year, what we're looking for is offering more classes, but offering them in more formats. Our online on-demand videos and chats have been very popular. And I think even once we do get to a place where it's comfortable to come in and meet, people are still going to enjoy that ability to do some things online, particularly some of the videos, some of the classes, to be able to have that asynchronous opportunity to still do the yoga class, even if you're at work at 4:30 on a Friday afternoon. So we'll be looking in ways we can offer things in multiple formats. We're going to be building on our existing relationships with the Rotary Club and Women's Club. They both typically look for grant opportunities here at the library. We're always focused on working with the local schools, especially as those kids are out of school. They're going to rely on the library a lot more in the coming school year. We look forward to kickstarting some of those business relationships. If you remember back in March, I was pitching our brand new Books and Brews book club that was going to be at the Sanford Brewing Company and was promptly canceled because it was the first week of the countywide shutdown order. So we hope to get back to being able to do that when it is safe to gather in a bar and drink while talking about books again. Get back to doing our graphic novel book club and other partnerships with some of the other local businesses. We're going to be working on increasing our support for those distance learners with schools and students primarily opting, I think, for virtual lessons. They're going to be looking for more support than they would in other years. So we're going to be looking to step up support for them. I think we're going to see a lot of change in how people are working. I think there are some people who are just never going to go back to the office. They've discovered that they can work from home. They like working from home. And they can do their jobs. So why pay rent on an office building? But occasionally you're still going to need things that are outside. And I think they're going to be looking to us to do that, whether it's a place to meet with a client or a place to print off that proposal that they need to send or scan it and email it. We're going to have a lot more people looking to meet their business needs here. And we're going to need to find a way to meet that. Given our current space issues where I don't have conference rooms where you can meet with all of your clients, I have one and it's also a closet, but we're going to be looking for ways that we can help. And especially as we plan for that next building, building that into the planning, how we're going to be able to support the local business community more closely. So here are the numbers part. I know last night in Sharon's presentation, she showed us at 676, 860. That's kind of the net. I don't want you to forget the gross number of $749,860. That is your total contribution to us. Next year, if we have run out of reserves, I don't want you to have a heart attack when I come in and say I need $750,000 but this year you only gave us 676. No, really, totally, you're giving us 750. Part of that is in 2018, 2019, we had some professional staff vacancies and other ways we were able to economize. So I have a little surplus from that of $28,000. In April of 2020, the Board of Trustees met and went over the budget with a fine-tooth comb. Mayor McDonald attended this one, and he can tell you it was pretty fine. It wasn't down to the level of we bought 3 boxes of pens, maybe we could buy 2, but it was pretty close. And we looked ahead at what we were going to be doing over the course of the summer, and we realized that summer reading programs, in-person classes, they were all pretty unlikely. And so we were able to pull out from the current year's budget $45,000 and encumber that in expectation of it being applied to the fiscal 21 budget. So that's where that 45 comes from. That makes your net contribution $676,860. Our other sources of revenue, we do get state aid. State aid is based on how much your local city contribution is. This is why the big number is good, because the bigger the big number is, the bigger my state aid number is. Unfortunately, during the last legislative session, the state aid to libraries almost as low as it could go and still qualify for matching federal funds. So our expectation for state aid is down about $4,000 for the coming fiscal year at $13,300. We derive some other revenue, primarily fines. We get about $11,000 a year in overdue fines. We also have some non-resident fees, copies, that kind of thing, totaling $20,050 a year. I kind of hope this would be the year I'd be able to convince you all that we could eliminate overdue fines. But, I think that's going to be a 2022 question. All right, so what are we spending that money on? Of course, the thing that most people think of us for are our materials. We are looking to spend about $36,000 in books. It's just a smidgen up from what we are spending this year. We actually spend a good bit more than $36,000, but we use endowment funds. You know, typically about $8,000 a year comes from our book endowments, and that just buys additional books that aren't in the budget. We have periodicals. Those are print periodicals. Audiovisual includes DVDs and audiobooks. Our electronic resources, that's where the biggest difference is in our budget this year. As you see, I have added $2,500 to that, and that is to buy additional digital books and digital audiobooks to try to help meet that demand. We are part of the Tampa Bay Library Consortium, so we don't have immediate access to our own ebook catalog, but we chip into a pot. 7 other libraries join us. But the more we chip in, of course, the more they can buy. So Pasco County is by far the biggest contributor. I think they're well over $50,000. This will bring us up to $7,500, which will still make us more than some of our neighbors in the consortium. But we are the second biggest user of those. Pasco County is the first. The rest of our expenses, your typical operating expenses, our salaries, there are no salary increases for any personnel this year. There are no raises, either cost of living or merit raises built into this year's budget. The very small increase you see in my personnel costs is primarily because I have 3 employees who are eligible between July and October to enter the 401k. They will have been here a year. Our health insurance went up about 5%, but my newest full-time employee who started last October waived health insurance. So it works out to be a wash, you know, that we save about as much as was being added on by the increase. Administrative fees and dues, we looked very hard to see where we could cut. And as you see, we cut a good number from that at $6,550. That's primarily things like audit, training and travel, and our insurance. Programs I left unchanged because I'm optimistic that we will be able to have programs in 2021, either in person or we will be doing them virtually. We're also doing a lot of make and take kinds of programs, crafts for kids and adults, looking for ways that we can help people continue doing the things that they were doing here in the library. Supplies, we have cut that one down, and our computers and system maintenance. We changed our web host this year, which has saved quite a lot on a relative scale to what we were paying before. So all told, we were able to lower those expenses by just under $6,000. So our budget is a little bit lower than it was last year. And of course, we were able to save some from this year to help out. And that is where we are numerically. So I thank you for your time, and I am perfectly happy to answer any questions you might have.
Hey,
Anybody have
Stacy.
any questions?
Yeah. Stacy, when you were talking, you were saying that 79% of your 1,020 cards you gave out were Maitland residents, but then you went to say that the other ones were from different counties. So to have a local card, is that just Maitland proper, or are you talking about Orange County and Winter Park? Are those considered residencies?
No, we have three kinds of library card. Well, we have more than three, but we have three primary ones. Resident cards really are people who live here in the city of Maitland. People who work for the city of Maitland, even if they don't live here, are also entitled to a resident card. And that's full privileges. You can check books out. You can check out ebooks. You can use our databases. It's everything you might want as a resident. Because we are in Orange County, and Orange County has its own county system, and the city of Winter Park is in the same arrangement, there is a requirement within state aid that the county reciprocate privileges. So we have reciprocal privileges with people who have resident cards in Orange County and with people who have resident cards in the city of Winter Park. And any Maitland resident can also get a reciprocal card at Winter Park and in Orange County. So you can have three if you would like to have three. Reciprocal cards allow you to check out items that are on the shelf. It does not allow you to check out any ebooks, download magazines, access databases. In nearly every circumstance, it doesn't allow you to place holds because the demand must go for city residents first. Because we've been doing curbside pickup, we have allowed reciprocal borrowers to place holds. We have not really advertised that broadly because they still have their home libraries that they can go to as well. And then once things settle down, that will go away again. So reciprocal cards are free. You have to be in good standing with your home library, and you have to have a card at your home library. If you don't live anywhere in Orange County, you can get a non-resident fee card, and that is $60 for the whole household. It's an annual fee, and that does allow you to buy into the system and get that full privileges. So you can check out books. You can also use our digital materials and our databases. But that is something you have to renew every year.
How many? I know you don't know probably the exact number, but what percentage are you seeing of those? Is that like 5-10%?
Oh, no. I mean, I would say we probably have, I actually can tell you exactly how many.
You say something about 20?
Yeah, I think it's about 20 people who actually pay. Public library statistics. Yeah, that's fine.
So more like 2%.
Oh, okay, no, reciprocal. All right, so it says we have 126 non-residents, but that must include some households, and I bet you it includes a lot of expired ones. I don't think those are all active ones because we don't bring in $3,000 in non-resident fees. So yeah, there's 126 on the books, but it's only good for a year, and the books are good for 5. So that's probably 4 years worth of people who have expired and not paid us again.
So those non-residents that pay the $60 a year on a family basis effectively become Maitland residents.
Yes.
Got it. Go ahead,
So
Dan.
Stacy, I'm sorry. Stacy, when they expire, do we have any program that, we reach back out to the people whose cards expire, try to get them back to being part of the library to renew their membership?
Yeah, we have not been really reaching out to them. Typically, what we find is that we have some non-residents who are dedicated renewers. Often they are people who lived in Maitland and then moved across the line. I mean, I had a board member who accidentally moved across the line and so had to leave the board. Her new address was Maitland. She didn't realize it wasn't in Maitland, but their family still pays for that non-resident card. We have some who have moved, like I know we have a couple who live in Oviedo, and they come all the way over here for their library because they like us better than the one in Oviedo, but they used to live here in Maitland. And then like our Storytime parents, they often will get non-resident cards while their kids are very small and they're coming here weekly for story time. But then when their kids get to school age, they're not coming here. So they lapse. And we also do test proctoring for card holders in good standing. So if you live in Seminole County and you want me to proctor your test, you need to buy that card. But then as soon as you're done school, like it's not worth it to keep paying for that card.
Right. Well, just maybe a suggestion that, maybe look at a program where you can, do we want you back, to bring those people back into the library system. It'd be nice. I mean, even our own residents, just so they remember to, that they have this ability, because, like you and I had talked, and, right now, I don't know, a lot of y'all know this, but the governor's taken $30 million out of the Florida budget from the Complete Florida Plus program. And that's a program where, 1.3 million students have accessibility to over 17 million books. So for school, that being college students and high school students and all sorts of students. And that's been cut. So that won't be going forward this year. So the library now, I think, that's going to be a resource for these people who can't find those books online. So the other thing, I was just wondering, like, you want to do programs and stuff, and you have the park right there beside you. Have you thought about maybe doing the yoga in the park or something in the park where you can still, because I do dog training still. We wear a mask outside. We keep our 6 feet, but you can still do those classes in person if you wanted to.
I think that will be something to consider when it's not 100 degrees outside.
Right. Yeah, we do it early in the morning.
Yeah, it's not a hot yoga class, but I certainly think it's something that she would consider when it is cooler. We do use Quinn Strong Park occasionally. We do our telescope nights there. And of course, when we have our annual 5K race, we rent the park and use that as our starting and ending place for the 5K. And then we've done other crafts where we've gone over, and then sometimes we just use our grounds. Like you saw that field day, that's just out in our front yard. When we do Winter Wonderland or the Storybook Tea, we just use our own front yard. But it is a very hot, very front yard. So I think probably as we move into the fall and into the winter, we will be looking at trying to do some more of those outdoor things. We've got some asynchronous kids activities coming up. Again, waiting for that slightly cooler weather in the courtyard. Michelle and Mary have designed an extreme hopscotch course where we'll be able to just chalk that out in the courtyard with like sidewalk chalk so it'll wash away. And it's got things like how far you're supposed to hop and twirl on one foot and do a jumping jack. And I mean, it looks very crazy, but it's a thing that kids can come to the library and do without then having to interact with any other people. So it's a very safe activity, but it's not an activity that involves sitting at home and watching another online video from school or your supplemental materials. So I think that will be very popular once it is not quite so hot and sunny in the courtyard.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else have any questions or comments? Stacy, I think we can all agree that we look forward to the time where the library has the opportunity to have the use of more space and to be able to address broader community needs in whatever way we can, and hopefully with that we'll have those opportunities. Any other questions that y'all have? Brian, anything you want to share?
allow me to unmute myself here. We appreciate the time of the council. I know it's a thankless task, especially now, but you paying attention to Stacy and what she had to say is very important to us, and we appreciate that.
All righty. Thanks, bud. Any other thoughts? Hearing none. Sharon, is there anything else you want to share with us now?
Nope, that's it. I think we accomplished our goal. We got through both of them.
Yay.
All right, very good. You guys did great. Thank you. Unless somebody's got some nugget that we haven't already heard, we'll go ahead and consider this workshop adjourned. I appreciate it, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks. Have a great day, everybody.
All right, take care, guys. Bye-bye.